You're watching Safe from the Storm, an ABC6 severe weather special.
The one-year anniversary of the Moore tornado just a few weeks away. That was on May 20th of last year. A group of OSU meteorology students recently returned from Oklahoma after helping rebuild. Andrew Michael caught up with them to find out how that trip changed their outlook in their careers. Andrew?
Yeah, the group of 11 Ohio State meteorology students said the return trip to Moore really touched them. But their trip to help rebuild Moore may only be the first chapter of a new tradition.
The Moore, Oklahoma tornado was more than what was expected by a group of Ohio State meteorology students who were there storm chasing.
Big tornadoes, big strong tornadoes. We knew there was a good likelihood of them, but what happened we did not expect at all.
And what happened on that trip was something more than they could have learned here in the classroom.
And being able to see that thing form and then continue to grow, that was awesome from a meteorology standpoint. As you begin to see it darken, as the debris flies up into it, that's when there was a big shift in my thoughts, especially just realizing that this thing was going to be on the ground for a while. It was going to do some devastation and have an impact on a lot of lives.
John said the cell service was overwhelmed and knocked out in less than 20 minutes after the tornado.
We called American Red Cross, a couple churches, and there was a ginormous outpouring of support at the time.
Disaster zone, so they didn't want a whole lot of people in there that didn't need to be in there.
This looks like Plaza Towers Elementary School.
So the students left Oklahoma, but not for long. They started a Facebook group called Buckeyes for More. They raised funds to donate back to the Cleveland County Habitat for Humanity and planned a trip during their spring break.
We worked on 2 houses that were in Norman. One of them was of a family that was displaced by the Moore tornado that didn't want to go back.
The group of 11 students took their free week to help rebuild.
It says Buckeyes for More across the top, and then has the signatures of everyone.
They also went back to the field where they watched the tornado form. Each student said reflecting on the storm changed their outlook on meteorology.
It definitely had an extreme impact on my career, I think. Now I have like a whole new perspective of how it affects people directly.
John has helped clean up tornado and hurricane disasters before, and he thinks that other students will help join in on future trips.
Maybe yearly trips like this, either back to Oklahoma or to different places who are affected by various natural disasters.
And the Moore tornado was an EF5 tornado and was on the ground for more than 40 minutes. It caused $2 billion in damages, along with 24 fatalities and nearly 400 people hospitalized. Bill?
Yeah, that was a terrible event. We're going to stay on the tornado theme. You know, there's a lot of myths about tornadoes. Having the facts actually might save your life. First Warning meteorologist Marshall McPeek is helping us separate the fact from the fiction.
Remember your grade school tornado drills? If you sat closest to the window, you were supposed to run over here and open the windows before you dove for cover. The theory was that opening the windows would help equalize the pressure, so you'd have less damage to the building. That's a myth. The fact is, even with the windows closed, most buildings have enough openings to vent the pressure difference as a tornado passes nearby. At the very center of a mature tornado, the windows would have to endure the 100 to 200 mile-an-hour winds in the walls of the vortex. If the windows survive that, the strong winds would still be hurling debris through them, and that would create enough openings to equalize the pressure. One very dangerous myth got started a few years ago during a tornadic storm in Oklahoma. Some drivers decided to take shelter under an overpass like this one. The only reason they survived was pure luck. When a tornado passes through, the overpass becomes a dangerous wind tunnel. The area up the ramp acts like when you put your thumb over the end of a hose. The wind speeds up to get through the smaller opening, and so does the debris it's carrying. And that makes you a stationary target with no protection. So don't try to shelter here. Another myth is that tornadoes never hit large cities. The only thing that gives cities an advantage over wide open cornfields is pure statistics. Now take a look at a map like this. Compare the amount of Ohio that's covered by cities and the amount covered by farmland. If you were to throw a dart at this map, you'd be a whole lot more likely to hit farmland than you would a city. Tornadoes are kind of like that dart. The city of St. Louis has been hit by more than a dozen tornadoes. More than 150 tornadoes have ravaged the Oklahoma City metro area. They've hit downtown Nashville, Minneapolis, and even the Bronx. Here at home, Franklin County has had 28 tornadoes since 1950, including 2 EF3s and 6 EF2s. Beware the myth, it can happen. Marshall McPeek, First Warning Weather.
Thank you, Marshall. Great information there for sure. You know, if a storm hits in the middle of the night, how would you know to seek shelter? A NOAA weather radio is designed to wake you up. Andrew shows you how to program your weather radio to only wake you up if the storm is in your county.
It's a sound that's both loud and annoying, but if there's a tornado on the way, that sound could save your life. But a lot of people don't know how to program one of these weather radios, and that's exactly what we're going to do. One of the most popular weather radios is this Midland NOAA weather radio. It costs less than about a half a tank of gas. So we're going to show you how to program that. First, hit menu. Then we can scroll through by hitting the up arrow, channel, then hit select. We want to pick which radio frequency we're listening to. So as we move up, wait till you finally hear the NOAA weather radio announcing voice. There we go. Hit select to pick that. And once we have the channel set, now we move on to your county. So to program the counties, hit menu, up, 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 till we get to same set. Select. Multiple will do multiple counties. Any will do any counties within that radio frequency, and single is for one single county. We're going to do multiple. Hit select. Same set 01 would be your first county. For Franklin County, the code is 03049. We're going to hit select. And again, Franklin County's code is 0. Go over to the next one. Franklin County is 039. You can go down to get it quicker. 0, 4, final number is 9. So 039,049 is Franklin's county code for any weather alert that is sent out over that frequency. We'll hit select and then menu, so it will save menu one more time, and then we're back to the home option. And keep in mind that most storms here in central Ohio move from west to east. So if we program the county to our west, it'll give us a little extra heads up. So we'll show you it again for Madison County. Hit select, up to same set, select multiple counties, same 02 for the second county, select. Madison's county code is 039,089. So 039,089. Hit select to save that, menu, 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 and now that county is saved as well. And keep in mind too, it can be plugged in, but having batteries in the back is very important. So if a storm ever happens to hit and your power goes out, well, your NOAA weather radio will still stay on.
That was Andrew Michael, and I will say, if you don't have a weather radio, it's certainly worth getting one, especially now that you can program those individual counties. Back in the day, it would just scream all the time for flood watches and warnings that may be in a county 4 counties away. So it really is a huge advantage to have inside your house. I know we in the Kelly household have that. Also, we have all of those codes that you need to know for your counties in our viewing area on our website, abc6onyourside.com. Go to the weather tab, and they are all down there as well. You know, there's 2 types of flooding that you need to know about. First, there are flash floods. Now, flash floods happen pretty much without any warning or very little warning. In the city, that's when, you get a bunch of rain, heavy rain. It can overwhelm the storm sewers, and then the water just rises up, and just like the name implies, flash flooding, just all of a sudden it's there. Outside of town, you could drive into water that could carry your car away. So the rule of thumb with watered cover roads is turn around, don't drown. Don't even think about driving through it. It's just not a good thing. Recently we've had what's called an aerial flood warning, and that's flooding over a larger area. Sky 6 brought us this video from Delaware County about a month ago. With this kind of flooding, mainly rivers overflow and then it kind of spreads out. You're going to have plenty of warning to get to higher ground with these to prepare and protect your property. Another feature with First Warning Doppler Radar that I use all the time on air, I think it tells a lot about the storm, is the way we can sample and see how much rainfall there is. Now on this example, and again, this is not right now, this was a little bit last week, I saved this information to show you. We're looking at rainfall that is moving up into Franklin County, as you can see. And what we can do, let me show you down here, I can select what's called ID weather. It then utilizes the information from the storm to tell you how much rain is estimated to fall. So you see these yellows are between about a ½ an inch to an inch. But if we get a real tight look here up near Slate Run Metro Park on this night, and I ID this, we have rainfall rates here that are knocking on the door of 2 to 3 inches per hour. It tells you where the intensity is. It really helps us out when we're talking about things like flooding, and so it's a good way to sample the storm to show you what's going on. Another thing we watch for is the lightning tracker. Now the lightning tracker records the cloud to ground lightning strike, not just all the lightning in the clouds, but the ones that actually strike the ground. And on this one here, That's what that number there shows you. That 31, that is the number of cloud-to-ground lightning strikes just within this field of view. And so you see these little emblems. There's a couple here north of Circleville, one over north of Stoutsville, and there's one back to the west as well. Those are where those cloud-to-ground lightning strikes are. And not only that, we can define the parameter. So this happens to be in the last 30 minutes. Watch what happens to the number when I say put us over the last 3 hours or so, and I move this up to the Cleveland area where there's more lightning. Over 1,100 strikes just in the past couple of hours. And not only does it tell us where the lightning is to help keep you and your family safe, it also helps us determine if the storms are strengthening and weakening, which again also helps keep you and your family safe. And a flooded basement can cost you thousands of dollars to clean up and repair, but there are steps you can take now to keep that from happening. Our Maria Durant learned how from the basement doctor.
Maria, what we're going to see is a lot of water coming into this basement.
Ron Greenbaum is known as the basement doctor, and he's already diagnosed the problem in this Dublin basement. A problem, he says, that can get worse when there's too much rain.
As you can see, the water's coming in, as I said, at the base where the wall and the floor meet.
By the time we got to the house, Greenbaum's crew had already taken care of the water that seeped into the basement, shoring up and patching this side of the wall, and building a trench for the water to flow into the all-important sump pump.
You absolutely have to have a sump pump.
He says putting in a sump pump can make all the difference between a wet and dry basement. This home is getting a second pump put in. Greenbaum says the first one can't handle keeping the entire basement dry. So before the next round of pounding rains, in order to prevent a flooded basement, check your pump.
Lots of times we get called because they have a cord float which gets wrapped around a cord, things like that. So you want to make sure the mechanical float's working and that the motor itself doesn't burn itself out.
Simple steps you can do now to save you money in the end. In Dublin, I'm Maria Durant, ABC 6 News.
Thank you very much, Maria. In Central Ohio, losing your power during or after storms is a reality for thousands of us every severe weather season. As meteorologist Dana Turtle explains, many of you are willing to spend a few $1,000s to make sure you don't ever go without power.
In late June 2012, a violent line of thunderstorms tore through Central Ohio, downing trees and power lines, cutting off electricity to thousands. It's known as a derecho, and that stormy afternoon still sticks in Nancy Wasserstrom's memory.
Don't know if the lights are going to work. You're wondering if you're going to have heat.
Nancy's power was off for nearly a week.
You're moving food around.
Just making coffee in her Bexley home was impossible.
Because of the amount of trees in our neighborhood, it just has a tendency to take a long time to get the power back up.
So instead of worrying, Nancy had an electric home generator installed on the side of her house. It runs right off the natural gas, and it's pretty high tech.
Within a few seconds, power comes right back on. You don't have to do anything, and it makes life so easy.
Chris Converse is with Converse Electric. He showed us the inside of the generator, which looks a lot like a small car engine.
You can protect all the food in your refrigerator. You know that your sump pump's going to work and that your basement won't flood, that your security system will stay on.
For Nancy, it's worth spending some money, making sure she always has power.
It was always a big unknown and a huge inconvenience.
You can say, hey, I have power, and you'll be the most popular neighbor on the block.
In Bexley, I'm meteorologist Dana Turtle.
Well, meteorologist Andrew Michael back here with me tonight running our live chat, and we're answering your questions live on the air. And a lot of questions coming in tonight, right?
Yeah, we are. And just so everyone knows, we were doing the live YouTube. I'm great at crashing computers. I tried doing too much with them. So we have it streaming again. Check out my Twitter. Check out my Facebook page, Andrew Michael. Or if you just search hashtag OhioWX, there's a link to the new YouTube stream.
Because there's a new link we had to put up there, right?
So here's what we have. So the first question coming in from us, and this is from Miranda, and she asks, what should we do if we live 30 plus miles from where the storm is? Will it still be strong when it makes it to us? So I think the answer that we would say to that is we continue tracking the storms as they move their way closer.
Yeah.
So.
And it depends. Storms, too, will move at very different speeds. You might have some storm that's just migrating along at, 10 miles per hour. Well, if that's the case, if you're 30 miles away, it's quite some time. or some that race through, especially those lines at derechos. I mean, they'll move at 40 miles per hour, sometimes 50. So in that case, we'll be able to track you and give you the timing as well.
All right, another question coming in from Katie. She's saying, hey, what do you do when a tornado is near you and you don't have a basement to go to? The thing you want to do, interior room, as far away from the outside walls of your house as possible. So if that's a bathroom that doesn't have any windows, if that's a closet, whatever you can do, or a stairwell, try to get into that as close as you can.
Exactly right. I always visualize, you know, what's going to hurt you with a tornado is not necessarily the winds, it's all the stuff that's blowing around. So get as many walls between you and the outside as possible. So it's not necessarily, does it have to be a bathroom? Bathroom is good because the tub adds extra protection. But if you have another room that has multiple walls between you and the outside, that possibly, you know, especially if it's down under a stairwell or something, could be a good one.
And as low as possible as well. So you don't want to be on the second story. You want to try to get as low as possible. So if you live in an apartment where it's up on the second story, try to get down, maybe go downstairs to where they might have the laundry area, somewhere where you can kind of get away from the windows.
Even talk to your neighbors now beforehand. If you have some friends that, you know, say, hey, if we have severe weather, is it okay if I pop down here? You know, or maybe if you're close enough, leave a spare key if you're gone. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be in the upper floors during a tornado.
And speaking of that, high-rise building, we're going to get to this question coming up next to answer this, but this is from Twitter using #OhioWX. So we encourage you, if you're using Twitter, go on there, ask us a question using #OhioWX. We'll be answering all of the questions through the rest of the broadcast.
Andrew, thank you very much, and thank all of you for participating in that. You know, it's a mesmerizing force of nature, and it's one of the deadliest. The best ways to stay safe when lightning strikes. We'll be right back.